Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, NBA fans, lovers, and fanatics. Welcome to the third episode of the Mambas Nest. This is a live, interactive NBA podcast. With me today is Chris Berger, a.k.a. C. Burgles. Berger, Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Good to see you this morning.
Oh, it's a wonderful morning. It's a good day to be alive.
It is. It's always a beautiful day to be alive. All right, so how was your holidays?
Can't complain.
All right. Start off this new edition of the first NBA podcast we're doing this 2016 year. And we're going to start off with what should we talk about first? I guess we'll start off with All-Star voting. There's been, I'm not saying complaining, but there's been some talk about how Kobe is likely to be a starter in his final NBA season that might snub someone who's more worthy of an All-Star. Your thoughts?
I think I mentioned something briefly on this on the couple podcasts ago about how the All-Star voting in the NBA is a complete joke. It's a complete joke. It's not about who the best player is at the moment. It's not about who's putting up the best numbers. It's about who the fans want to see in the game. And that's how it's always been, and that's how it's always going to be.
I don't really have a problem with this in particular because it's Kobe. But, like, for example, I think Jose talked about it last show, how, like, last year the Hawks had, like, 3 or 4 players.
The Hawks' whole starting lineup, I think, made the All-Star team.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch Kyle Korver in an All-Star game, Al Horford, or Jeff Teague. It's simple as that. Nobody wants to watch those 3 guys.
Yeah, no, everybody wants to watch the stars. That's why you turn the game on. But it's just in the same breath when you're mentioning somebody, the 17-time All-Star. Well, are we really going to use that as credentials now still? Because those credentials, like All-Star games, don't mean anything anymore. It's just who the fans want to see. And, you know, the coaches' picks, which I think there's like 1 or 2 picks that fill the last end of the roster, the only guys maybe deserving that, you know, might get snubbed.
Yeah, I saw that a couple years ago, Lance Stevenson thought he was deserving of a All-Star ballot, and he didn't get either a coaching or a fan vote.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see, for the East, definitely you're going to see Wade, Bosh, LeBron.
Yep, Paul George will probably make his second All-Star appearance as well.
You're gonna see all the normal guys, and then, like, you know, there's 1 or 2 guys deserving. Like, you know, I think you see Andre Drummond in there because he's a rebounding machine.
Well, it's tough because, unfortunately, like, John Wall might not even make the All-Star game this year. And, I mean, he had a slow start, but he's still averaging just over, like, 8 assists a game and 17 points.
Yeah,
those
but
guys, they don't deserve
point guards that are going to make it for the East.
What?
Who are the other point guards that are going to make it from the East if he doesn't?
Well, you have Kyle Lowry. You have this was an issue I saw. Kyrie Irving, I think, is second in guards voting.
Because people want to see Kyrie play.
Exactly. So there's no reason for a guy like that to be in the All-Star game. It's not fair. The players who have been healthy and playing all season.
It's the same. The West.
Right now, it's among guards. It's Dwayne Wade, then Kyrie, and then Kyle Lowry, then Jimmy Butler, and then John Wall. And they have no business.
I forgot they do it like guards, forwards, and stuff like that. Yeah. It's not just like you get 2 3-point guards and yeah. So, but when you look at the West roster, the West is going to be all like nostalgia picks. Like Kobe's going to be on there. Mm-hmm. Duncan might be on there because you don't know when his last year is going to be. Dirk might be on there because you don't know when his last year is going to be.
Dirk's way down. Dirk doesn't have a chance. He's 11th in front court voting right now, and you have Duncan at 7. So Duncan has a chance, but it's hard because in the West, you know, you have more stars. You know, you have Durant, Griffin, Leonard, Green, Davis. There's a lot more talent in the West and the East. I mean,
yeah, well,
we know that by the standards.
It's been that way for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
but the records aren't showing it.
I mean, that's a good segue. Standings. Not much has changed in the West. Your top 2 teams are still the Warriors and the
thing about the West is the top 4 spots are the top 4 spots you'd expect to see there. But then everybody after that is just it's kind of a surprise.
I mean, with the way Houston started, I'm glad to see that they're back in the top 8 seeds because
they're still under 500 though.
Are they? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. They're 17 and 19.
It's almost like the East and the West have turned around. The East has a bunch of teams that are
Above 500, yeah.
above 500 that aren't going to make a playoff team, make it to the playoffs, and you got teams in the West that are under 500 right now that are right in the race.
It's and the East is getting more stagnant though. I mean, more there's more separation now though. Like you can see the Cavs, the Bulls, and the Heat. They're starting to pull away in the upper tier, and you're starting to see teams like Orlando who had a hot start and Charlotte. They're starting to fall back down to their mediocre level.
We're getting to the point in the season where you can start talking about playoff spots and where the spots are, but it's still early enough in the season where spots aren't even close to safe, and some team's going to make a run, somebody's going to have a slump, and things are going to flip-flop. And the West, it probably isn't going to have people finish under 500 to make the playoffs, but right now the way it looks, if the Rockets don't get their act together, they might make the 8 seed, but they're not going to be above 500.
I mean, I think one of the things I'm high on the Kings. A lot of people know this because I think defensively they're an issue. They can't stop anybody, but offensively with Cousins and Gay and Bellinelli and Rondo, I think that team can score at a dangerously high level. And
I'm looking at
9th seed right now.
Yeah, they're third in the league in points per game, but they're 30th in opponents' points per game.
Right.
So, they're top in the league in scoring, but they're bottom, dead last in the league in letting people score on them.
I saw it was Tom Habestraw tweeted out the plus and minus for teams, like their average win margin, and the Kings were in the plus minus, but the Charlotte Hornets were surprising. They have like a plus and minus of like 10. Yet they're
under 500.
Yeah. Are the Hornets? I thought the Hornets were 500.
They're 500 on the dot.
Yeah. But they've lost, I think, 4 straight or 5 straight.
You lost 4 straight.
Yeah. I started giving them praise, and they started throwing it in my face pretty much.
But I think the one surprising thing you could say about the East is that, I think you expected Charlotte to be in the play, like guaranteed a playoff spot. Washington guaranteed, and they're on the outside looking in right now.
Washington has been a disappointment. Bradley Beal can't seem to stay healthy. Coming into a big free agency, which is concerning, because he wants max money, and I don't think because of his recent injury history, he's worth max money.
I think even without his injuries, I don't think he's been, a player to give max money to.
I mean, in the games he's played this year, he's been ridiculous offensively. He had a buzzer beater against San Antonio earlier this year, and I think he's averaging high double digits in points, like 19 or 18. I don't have that. I didn't look at that stat, which I probably should have. But
we're looking at younger shooting guys in the league. He's definitely upper echelon.
You were lagging a little bit and hear what you said.
When you're looking at what's going on.
That's true.
So when you look at the good young shooting guards in the league, there's not that many to choose from. But do you just get Matt money because he's the best guy out there, or do you give a guy max money that deserves max money?
I think Wade and Kobe, there was something I read about them, how they're the last 2 great shooting guards that the league currently has. Because when you look down the list, do we consider Clay great yet? No. Do we consider Bradley Beal not even in that upper tier yet? And then really, besides Clay, what shooting guard do you put as a standout? There really isn't. Jimmy Butler, I guess, would be one. Yeah. But it falls off.
He only had last year to work off of. He's been playing at a high level.
He had do you see his game the other night against the Raptors?
40 points in the second.
2 points in the first half, 40 in the second. I think it's safe to say that Jimmy Butler is now a superstar in this league.
He's the focal point of the ball. Derrick Rose is no longer the man. It's Jimmy Butler's team.
100%.
And the sooner Derrick Rose and the rest of the team learns that, the better off they're going to be.
I think, is Rose a free agent this year or is it next year?
I don't know, but I don't see them signing him. I don't see anybody wanting to offer him max money because he's getting an MRI again this week on his knee.
Yeah, I saw. It was a rumor thing. It was something about the Hornets maybe possibly trading for Rose to have. I don't think it's true. I mean, it was something they would trade away Kemba and somebody else for Rose and somebody else, which would make no sense.
Why would you give away for a guy that's played like 20 games in 5 years?
It wouldn't make any sense. So I guess I shouldn't have even brought it up.
I mean, again, rumors, and you always hear rumors, crazy.
Now we get to talk about something I want to talk about last week that happened on Christmas, the Cavs-Warriors game. Did you get a chance to watch that at all?
No. The one game I missed.
All right. So it was Kyrie Irving's second or third game back. And the Warriors took care of business. The Warriors won by 9, I believe. Maybe it was double digits. But I watched something in that game that was very alarming for Cavs fans and for people who know basketball. LeBron James can no longer shoot, even decently. When he was first in Cleveland, his issue was he could only drive. And he had a mediocre jump shot and almost a non-existent three. Went to Miami. Oh, can we agree he had a decent jump shot in Miami?
Yeah, it was good.
Right. He was hitting threes. He was able to do more than just drive. And last year to this year, he has grown again into a one-sided player. All of his points come from inside 10 feet or 15 to 10 feet. And I got to be honest, if I'm a Cavs fan, I'm worried because you now have a person who demands the ball in his hand who no longer can shoot. And I think that hurts them in the scope of their offense and what they can do. When now the defense knows that he has to drive, which is why I think Iggy is so successful. Because Iggy knows that LeBron, he's like, I'm going to let LeBron shoot. But if he comes inside 15, I'm going to give him my full physical defense.
Well, I think once Kyrie's back and he's healthy, they get Shumpert back and he's healthy and the team gets back together, I think you'll see LeBron shooting numbers go, I don't think you're going to see him shoot the lights out, but I think you're not going to see him struggle as much as he is right now. I think right now he's playing a ton of minutes. He's got, early in the season because Kyrie was gone, Shumpert's gone, Love's getting back into it, how they're going to mix that front line of the rotation. There's a lot of pressure on LeBron to get things done and keep the record where it is until Kyrie gets back. And because he came in the league after high school, he's got a lot of miles on those tires.
It's true.
And I think his legs sometimes just they're not what they used to be, and you need your legs to take jump shots.
He's made. I always mess up the stat. He's been in the playoffs or in the finals the last 6 years, right? Or 5 years. It's 5 years, I believe, that he's been in the finals. So that's an extra season, pretty much the last 5 years with just playoff games that he's had to take.
Well, I mean, if they were showing the somebody had a stat, I think it might have been from ESPN the other day of, by age 31, who had the most points between like LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan. Mm-hmm. And LeBron has the most points at 31, but if you look at his games played, LeBron has 300 more games played than either one of those two at age 31.
All right, okay.
Because he's been in the playoffs every year he's been in the league. He's literally has an extra 2 or 3 seasons on some guys at a certain stage in their career because he's been in the playoffs so often.
Well, okay. It's true.
I mean, Jordan also, with his, retiring baseball, not this, that, and other things that could come into play with like the points and the number of games played. But, LeBron he doesn't take time off unless he absolutely has to. I mean, he plays banged up.
I know that it's probably around 2 weeks ago that he was in the top 5 in minutes played. on like of all the players in the league. He was top 5 minutes with like 38 or
He's
37.
top 5 almost every year in minutes played, and at some point you gotta, especially this year with as bad as his jump shot is looking, as
Let me just throw some numbers at you.
Once the team gets together, they might have to start limiting his minutes come playoff time.
I definitely think he rested against Miami a couple weeks ago. I think you're going to see more of that, more games when they get healthy that you just let LeBron take a night off.
Either let him take a night off or let him only play 20, 25 minutes. Just bring him in when they need him, and get him out.
I don't think LeBron's going to dress and only play 20 minutes. I can't see it. He's either has to sit out completely or he's going to have to play his 38 minutes. But I pulled up his shooting stats. So inside 5 feet, he's shooting 66%. And then outside of 5 feet, it's a straight drop to 43%. And then past that's 31%. And then from 3, he's averaging 24%.
I know early in the season, this the first 10 games, he was 3 of 30 something from 3.
It's concerning. And, but I mean, like you said about the All-Star voting and the record for the teams, we're only a quarter of the way into the season still, pretty much. Just over a quarter of the way. We still have a month until All-Star break.
Yeah, most teams, I was looking the other day, most teams have anywhere from 32 to 36 games played. So you're a little more than a third. We're almost halfway. So you're starting to see maybe the playoff picture, but there's still a lot of room for teams to move up and move down. So there's no really need for a team to panic now. And there's no need for a team to feel safe right now.
Have your title contenders changed? Because I know mine haven't.
No, I think the East. You got the Cavs. If the Bulls can,
no, wait. Do you really think the Bulls are a contender though? Because I don't. I think in the East it's really just the Cavs.
Well, I would say that, but if you're going to give me a second tier team to look at, I mean, besides the coach, the Bulls are still the same Bulls they've been for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally think they play better without Rose than they do with him in the lineup.
Well, they do because Rose is too one-dimensional, which is the word I was looking for 15 minutes ago that I couldn't figure out in my damn mind.
But I mean it is. I saw Noah get hurt the other day. Was he out for the season? I didn't see.
No, I don't think he's out for the season.
He's out for it. So I mean, they still got Noah, Gibson, Gasol. They got the rookie Bobby Portis, who's been playing really well lately. That front line is still something to contend with.
Dermot's had some good showings this year too.
Jimmy Butler's coming into his own. Heinrich's steady. And I think the one position you're looking at is, small forward and really where you're looking. But Jimmy Butler can move up and play there. You got Dunleavy coming back. I don't think they're a real title contender, but if there's somebody that can cause problems for the Cavs in the playoffs, I'm looking at them.
Surely. I mean, I'm going to break my own heart right now. I mean, 3 weeks ago, I thought the Pacers were the second best team in the East. And I know that was probably just the Pacer fan in me thinking they're hot. Paul George is getting love and he's hot. And he cooled down the last 2 weeks. Under the radar, Paul George had an awful 2 week shooting. He had 2 games under 10 points and a couple games where he shot just over 40 or just under 40.
I mean, they're almost, looking to me almost like a little bit of the old Cavs where it was LeBron or bust, almost Paul George or bust sometimes this team.
It is.
And the way they're playing, they're living and dying by the 3.
100%. And I mean,
if George Hill's having an off night from 3, if CJ Miles having an off night from 3.
He got hurt last night too, so he might be out for a couple weeks.
And they're going with a smaller lineup. So in order for them to win, they got to make a lot of threes.
Well, and also Monte's been slow off the rip. Monte, he was averaging 4 to 5 less drives per game with the Pacers than he did with Dallas, which I understand is a different system.
I think he's trying to fit into the system more than anything else. And it's just they brought him in there to play his game. They don't need another guy to sit at the 3-point line. you have the floor spread for you, drive, do your thing, and if they collapse, kick it out to a 3-point shooter.
They really wanted Monte to be that second ball handler. They wanted to get the ball out of George Hill's hands so much because, I know from watching the Pacers, but George Hill, he has trouble at times facilitating because he's not quick.
He's more of a shooting guard than he is a point guard.
Yeah.
I mean, the Spurs drafted him as a shooting guard, but he was too small to really play, so he had to be a kind of combo guard, and they started putting the ball in his hands more, so now he's kind of like – and is he a shooting guard? Is he a point guard? Well, he's small enough to play points, so we're going to give him the ball and see what happens.
Yeah. He doesn't have the lateral quickness, I think, that a point guard needs. He's too slow. If you get beaten off the dribble by George Hill, you should probably retire from the NBA, to be honest. That's just my opinion, my take. And what do you call him with his blonde hair?
Cisco.
Cisco. Good old Cisco.
I mean, it looks like he could be in the Thong Song music video. You could just replace him with Cisco. He'd be fine. Wouldn't even know the difference.
So there's an interesting game coming up later this month. January 25th. I'm skipping ahead. We get to see the best team in the league, in my opinion, versus the second best team in the league, in my opinion. Warriors Spurs. I was dying to see the Cavs-Warrior matchup on Christmas. Dying. Because I kept preaching, if the Cavs were healthy last year, they would have beat the Warriors, and I stand by that. I will say that on every podcast until the season is over.
Most people that, feel they have a good understanding of basketball and aren't just, bandwagon jumping on Steph Curry and the Warriors, will tell you if the Cavs were healthy, they win that series 9 times out of 10.
Precisely. And I know that this year it's different because the Warriors are way better this year than they were last year. I completely think they're a better team than they were last year, but I still think last year in the finals it would have been Cavs over Warriors if they were healthy.
Last year's finals gave them a lot of confidence going into this year, being like, we did it. We're that good. So now it's like, they believe in themselves and they go out every night thinking they're the best team in the league because, they won the title last year.
And let's give some praise and shout out to Draymond Green. That boy
triple doubles.
That boy can play.
He's a do everything guy. He's your typical 5-tool player that he passes, he handles the ball, he rebounds, he can score. He's everywhere on a nightly basis, and he's a great defender.
He is, and I think it's great. He is the perfect second. Like he's the perfect right hand to Stephen Curry. Because Curry can play off ball with Draymond on the court, and Draymond can grab boards. Draymond is that spark plug who starts the game. I mean, you don't often get that kind of player who starts the game with you, but it's almost like the minute tip-off hits, Draymond's already electrifying the team.
But he was a sixth man. I think the only reason they put him in the starting lineup last year was due to an injury, and then he just ran with it.
It was actually. I want to say I'm not sure who got hurt.
I might even be. It might have David Lee might have been supposed to be the starter, and then he just wasn't.
I wish.
And then Draymond Green just took the role.
It might have been David Lee because he lost out on playing time the second half of the season because of that.
Well, when you got a guy that's 6'8" who can guard a 7-footer, do a good job, and still rebound with a 7-footer, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to throw a 6'10" guy in the lineup when you can play small like that with a guy that can shoot threes, handle the ball,
And I don't know if you probably didn't see it, but I was watching it this morning. The Spurs played the Bucks, and they won, by 40. Typical Spur numbers, nothing major. But they had 56 bench points. And, everyone, they commend the Warriors on their bench and how, Iggy and Livingston and them guys come off the bench and, you don't skip a beat. This January 25th matchup is going to be, I think, the first time the media actually gives the San Antonio Spurs the love that they haven't gotten so far this year. Because just recently, I think, the Spurs have started to, since the Warriors lost, the Spurs have slowly been rising in global media attention.
That, and I think the allure of the Warriors has gone down.
It has.
I think, and people have noted on it before that, the Warriors haven't played anybody yet. They played the Cavs, but they haven't played the Spurs yet. I don't think they've played Oklahoma City yet. They've played the Clippers maybe once. They haven't played any of the top teams in the West this far in the season.
No.
So now that you're seeing them, they drop a couple games, and now the Spurs are still there, and the Spurs are, the number 2 seed, and you're looking at them, and you're just, they got Aldridge over there now. Patty Mills is starting to play really well.
I think a perfect thing to describe, not describe the Spurs, but to show how the Spurs are so dominant, is we're 34 games into the season, and Kawhi Leonard is still shooting 51% from the field and 50% from three. And we're now a third into the season, and Kawhi is still putting up MVP-like numbers.
It goes to show you that they have such a well-rounded team. I think Kawhi is turning into the star that Parker and Duncan and Ginobili was. He's turning into that type of player. But he doesn't have to be on a nightly basis, and I think that's what allows him to be that good is because he doesn't feel the pressure to score that much a game. They take the shots that are given to them, they run the plays the way they're supposed to, and all the Spurs, they score when the opportunity's there. Nobody's forcing shots, nobody's doing this. They're playing within a system, and they're all just that good. Where if you just keep kicking the ball, somebody's going to be an open shot because they move the ball better than any team in the NBA.
It's the Popovich system. They get new pieces and they just fit in like David West. What a beautiful pickup that was. For a vet's minimum, you're getting a player who still has a good 2-3 years left and could play substantially more minutes on any other team. And he's with the Spurs. He's another Boris Diaw, just can't shoot a longer jump shot.
But it's going to help them in the playoffs because he is a tough guy. I don't think, you look at Duncan, he's quiet. I'm not saying he's not soft by any means, but he's not a get-in-your-face tough guy. Mm-hmm. You look at Aldridge, not that kind of guy.
Nope.
But when you got a guy like David West who's been in the league that long, comes off the bench, and you see on a regular season game, he's diving for balls, he's getting in people's faces, and it's like, come playoff time, he's going to be a very important piece to that team. He's going to add a hard nose. He's a guy that you don't want to go under the basket with that guy. I mean, people, especially if they end up playing like the Clippers or something, you put him on Blake for like 5 minutes and see what happens.
And how about them Clippers though? We'll talk about that in a second. So who do you have January 25th? What do you think? As of right now, Warriors, Spurs. Because they're both hitting their stride. So I think the Warriors won 4 straight, and the Spurs have won 5 straight, I believe.
I want to say Spurs. I want to say, if it's going to be a close game, so I think it's going to be one of those games that comes down to the wire the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter, but I want to say the Spurs get it done.
It is in Golden State.
Golden State.
It is in Golden State. It's at Oracle Arena. Does that change it a little bit?
That place just gets loud. And if the Warriors make a couple threes early in the game or make a big play, that they just go crazy and they feed off their crowd. But there's something about the Spurs that you can't pick against them.
It's kind of like that. I don't ever want to compare them to the Patriots because I can't stand the Patriots. But you never bet against Brady and the Patriots, and it's almost the same thing where you never bet against Popovich and the Spurs. It's not even a player. You can't even pick out a specific player. It's just Popovich and the Spurs. But I'm going with the Spurs too. I think this is really going to be Kawhi's chance to show against the best team in the league that he is the future along with Steph Curry. That this is not just Curry's league. It's his league as well soon.
He's going to have a tough matchup. He's going to get Iguodala, and he's going to get, if Harrison Barnes is, fully healthy again, he's going to get those two all game, and he's going to be guarded by them, and he's going to have to go guard Clay. And
He'll be guarding. And I think you'll see him even in certain sets if they play a really small lineup. You'll see him on Draymond as well occasionally.
Yeah, he can guard 3-4 positions depending on who the power forward's playing. So he can guard Curry if you need him to. He can guard. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they're going to utilize him as a stopper or if they're going to let him play his D on his matchup and try to get him going offensively.
I think he'll have to play D on Curry because I don't think Patty Mills or Tony Parker can stay on Curry. Now, at least not for a full 48 minutes. I don't think it's possible.
No, and Danny Green's the shooting guard, and he's not sticking anybody.
Danny Green's been awful this year as well.
Yeah.
I think he's shooting below 35% in both categories.
I think a lot of times you're seeing Patty in crunch time. You're seeing Patty Mills and Tony Parker on the floor for them.
They've I don't want to say they've adopted the
2-point guard system.
Yeah, but they've adjusted to the current style of the NBA, despite Popovich hating the way threes make the game, as many of us already know.
Yeah, he's brutally honest with how he hates how the game's played and what it turns into, and the free throw system. But he's going to use it to his advantage, and he's the first one that in the third quarter, if he's playing the Rockets or the Clippers, he's fouling Howard and he's fouling Jordan and making him go shoot free throws.
And back on the Danny Green. Danny Green's shooting 36% from the field and 32% from three, which isn't bad from three, really, because you want to shoot above 30. But
when you're talking about Danny Green, a guy that was Finals MVP or should have been Finals MVP a few years ago if he wasn't. Oh no, because they ended up losing that series. So. Yeah.
He would have won that.
Would have won MVP. When you're looking at a guy that's been so good from three, there's something he just looks off this year. The shot doesn't look the same. It's just not.
Well, his role has changed too now, though. He's not. He's lost minutes from this season to last season. I mean, it could have been because Popovich saw his shooting was awful, but
I just think he was good for what he did, and I think Pop was hoping he would grow more as an all-around player, and you're not seeing it. He still can't put the ball on the floor. He's still not a good defender, and his percentages are dropping shooting. So if you're playing on the Spurs, you're not going to get your minutes if you're not playing well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There was more hope for what Danny Green could be than what he's become, and he's just a knockdown shooter. And like we've seen from past knockdown shooters, like a Steve Novak, for example. I mean, Danny Green's way better than Steve Novak, but when you know these guys, right? When you know these guys can't drive and they can only shoot and they play lackadaisical defense, these guys will get exposed the longer they stay in the NBA. And I think that's happened to Danny. He's 28 now. He's not as young as he used to be.
But you got to adjust your game. If you can't drive, if as a shooting guard, and when you get a smaller matchup, you got to go try to play in the post. You got to get closer shots, or you got to do something else to help the team out. And he's just a hit or miss 3-point shooter at this point.
Which is what I love about Tony Parker's game. The older he gets, the more like this year, he was shooting 56% in the paint. He was among the top 5 scorers in the paint for the first month and a half of the season.
For the early part of his career, he was one of the highest scoring, players in the paint.
Which I love to see. I love Parker, his elusive to the basket. It's great to see that. So now we'll split over to the Knicks.
My Knicks.
Talk about your Knicks. From the last time we've talked, they've been on a steady decline for the most part.
They're hot and cold, and that's the way they're going to be until they figure it out. It's one night you watch this team and they play unbelievable. They're sharing the ball is moving, the offense is working, they're playing hard defensively, and they play a complete game for 4 quarters, and then you see them score 115 points, only give up 95, and they win. And then the very next night, they'll go out there and they'll lay an egg. And the offense is stagnant. The ball's not moving. When they don't score, they don't play defense because they get discouraged, and they get blown out by 20 points. And they'll score 80 points, and they'll give up 100. Mm-hmm. And this is a team this year when they've scored over 100 points, they're like 13-2 when they've scored over 100 points this year.
I think the big issue as well is not that I want to jinx it or say I told you so to Knicks fans, but Porzingis has not looked very good this last month. He has looked awful, and he's not giving away Rookie of the Year, but Karl Anthony Towns and guys like Okafor, they're slowly taking advantage of the fact that Porzingis has been ineffective shooting the ball lately. I think he's down to shooting around 41% from the field.
What's definitely hurting him that helps the other two is, their size. They have NBA bodies. These guys are big guys. And Porzingis is still a string bean. He's still skinny. He's still small, and he can't. I think the physical nature is taking a toll on him. Where he's, the legs aren't there, the strength isn't there. He's going up for shots and stuff, but he's still affecting the game. He's still getting rebounds, still getting his blocks, but his shooting percentage and his offensive efficiency are way down from what they were early in the season.
I mean, I'll take him to the gym with me. I'll take him with me if he wants to get a little bit bigger.
I mean, I think his matchups are finding if you're physical with this guy, you're going to wear him out, and he's going to be ineffective.
I can agree with that. And I got to be honest, I know that you said, I think, last podcast that you'd like to see Melo gone, but Melo's been playing very good lately.
What they're doing with the offense what I thought they should be doing years ago if they wanted Melo to be the focal point. They're putting him on the perimeter, and they're putting him in pick and rolls. They're letting him be a playmaker, and they're letting him – and he's passing the ball better than anybody thought he could ever pass the ball. And what's nice to see is he struggled the other night against – I think it was the Hawks. He had 10 points in that game.
Points.
I think 7 of them came in the fourth quarter in garbage time. But, he struggled that game. And games where he's only had, 10, 12 points this year, he's been getting 7, 8 assists, and the whole team has been playing really well around him. So they're not just relying on him anymore. But there are some games where when things aren't going well, they try to revert back to him, and it's, Carmelo or bust.
Well, prime example, in that Hawks win where he only had 11 points, he had a plus or minus of +4. It's not oftentimes you see Melo with only 11 points and a positive plus minus.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing with him too is he's ramping up his defense. He's playing a little bit harder on the defensive end, and it's starting when he goes and makes a steal or makes a block or makes a play. It gets the team energized. They see him play that well. They see him dive for a loose ball, and they're like, oh, we're going to follow him because he's their leader. And the games where you see him get discouraged, yell at the refs, and put his head down, the rest of the team follows just in his footsteps. And they slunk their heads. And
a prime example, what you're talking about, that them following around their leader almost. It's the same issue in Houston. When the team doesn't see James Harden putting that extra effort on defense or going after that extra loose ball or moving or doing the little things, it makes the entire team go, oh, well, let's pull it back a little bit because, our stars aren't even giving 110%.
And that comes also down to the coaching staff. You have to hold guys accountable, and you have to, if you're not going to yell at your star for not playing defense and getting back on D, how are you going to yell at the guy that's, the third guy off your bench for doing the same thing? You can't be a hypocrite. And if the team sees that the coach isn't getting on a guy for not doing that, they're not going to do it either.
A prime example of that, it was 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. I'm behind. I took a little vacation from the NBA when I came home for the holidays. But Kawhi made a really bad defensive play on somebody. He didn't switch. And Popovich, right on the sideline, laid into him. He was screaming, and he told him to sit down. And when you see the coach of a team ripping a superstar, you can just that's what makes the Spurs so great to me. Is no one is on a pedestal.
Yeah, he's done that to Duncan for years, and he does it to him in practice, not even during a game. Mm-hmm. He will grab Duncan by the shirt in practice and scream at him in front of the team. And sometimes it's just to prove a point, and Duncan understands that. Mm-hmm. Where everybody should be held accountable.
It's funny though because you would never ever see someone yell at Kobe.
Because Kobe would yell right back, and he would take himself out of the game and be like, "Cool."
Well, I think Phil said in his book that he wrote a couple of years ago that he had to change how he talked because he could say stuff to MJ, but he couldn't say certain things to Kobe because Kobe was more sensitive.
Yeah, because you know what Kobe would say? He'd be like, all right, cool, I'm going to go run the team without me and see what happens when I'm on the floor.
Yeah, and you could do that with the Lakers.
Nah, because Kobe would do that, and you know Kobe would do that. So.
Yeah, and also it's the same thing with LeBron. I've never seen a coach yell at LeBron. I think
because LeBron's the coach of that team.
Exactly. Well, I'm saying even when he was on Miami, he shrugged. What did he shouldered Spoelstra coming off the court.
Oh, they blew that so out of proportion.
I know it wasn't that big of a deal, but
no, it really wasn't. But but what you like to see about the Knicks is you're seeing improvement. There's 16 wins this year. They had 17 all last year. They're playing better defensively. They're still not playing great. They're very inconsistent. But I think the biggest surprise is the bench. I'm looking at the moves they made in the offseason, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, Kylo Quinn, what has he done? Seraphin, what has he done? Derek Williams, he's got potential, but he's not really, he's not really a guy yet.
Derek Williams needs more minutes.
That second unit, when they're not playing well and that second unit comes in, they get them right back in the game almost every time. Lance Thomas has been, he's close to the MVP of this team. Lance Thomas you can't put a price tag on what he's done. I mean, he comes out, he plays defense. His shooting percentages, we're seeing him put the ball on the floor. Mm-hmm. This is a guy that played the 4 to 5 position at Duke in college, and he's playing the 3 now. He's putting the ball on the floor. He's shooting threes. He's playing defense on 2 guards.
Now, Jerry Grant, I know his numbers are awful. Is he as awful as his numbers are? I don't watch enough Knicks games, so I'm asking you. He's like 13% from 3.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't a good shooter even in college, so everybody knew he couldn't really shoot. But I think what you're seeing is he's hesitating a lot. He's not making, a quick decision, and it's leading to a lot of, the shot clock's running down. You're forcing up a shot quick, or he's making an ill-advised pass because, the shot clock's running down. He's just at this moment he's very indecisive. They thought because he has a really high basketball IQ, he'd be okay in the triangle. Mm-hmm. I think he's still adjusting to the triangle and the speed of the NBA game. He was used to being the quickest guy on the floor in college.
Now he's not.
And I think when he makes a decision off the bat and puts his head down, he gets to the rim and he makes good plays. And it just, he's very indecisive still at this point in his career. And, when he does that, he's very ineffective, and officials sit him down. He's a healthy scratch a couple times. There's games where he hasn't even seen the floor, and they've been putting Sasha Vujacic out there instead of him.
I know Sasha is a very capable NBA player, but when I turn on a Knicks game and I see Sasha in the game, I immediately turn it off as if it's a joke. Sasha Vujacic should not be playing in the NBA.
If you're going to give him minutes and hope to spark, give the rookie the minutes and hope he grows and learns off of it. And, it's the same thing when, they put in Louis Amundsen and Clay Anthony early sitting on the bench not getting minutes. Like, I'm just not understanding. I'm not understanding where that's coming from.
I love the early draft pick, too. I was really high on him from Wichita State. And
he was playing well as a rookie year till he got hurt, and now he gets shot. So, he's just really not, he's either hurt or – something's happening with him. I don't know if he's just not learning the offense. Coaches don't like him. But even when he's healthy, he's not playing a lot. I mean, and it hurts he's playing out of position where Carmelo's your starter. Now you bring in Derek Williams, who's playing well, who is, the number 2 off the bench. Lance Thomas is playing well. He plays a little small forward. So he's behind some guys. But, I mean, he could come in. He could play some shooting guard or something.
Play a little bit bigger of a lineup. Yeah, you could have him at the 2.
I don't know if he's just not learning the offense. His IQ's not there yet, but now who knows when he's going to be back. But
I think he's out for at least a month. At least a month.
It's one of those things that annoys me when you see, a guy like Louis Amundsen who doesn't even belong in the NBA playing when he got a guy with so much potential coming out of college not even getting a minute.
Yeah, it's frustrating for a Knicks fan. I can understand. So we had a page that Lou. I'm going to try and say his last.
Yeah, well, he's a guy when he's on your team, you like what he brings on the floor because he's an energy guy, but he can't even make a layup.
No, he's very useless.
If you want a guy to go up there and get under somebody's skin and get a couple fouls and almost start a fight, then yeah, throw him on the floor. But if you want a guy that can do something,
the Pacers got rid of Tyler Hansbrough and got Lou. That following season, it was almost like it was a crappier product of Tyler Hansbrough. Literally, what it was.
I mean, at least Hansbrough can make some freak throws or finish under the rim.
Jump shot.
Yeah. Amundsen has absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he gives you very little to work with. The MVP race. Clearly, it's still Stephen Curry's title to lose at this point. And prior to the last 2 weeks, I'd say Paul George was second. And I think now it is a double-headed Golden State Warrior MVP race. I think it's Curry at the top, followed by Draymond, followed by George, and then you can toss it up between Leonard and LeBron James after that. But I honestly think that if you were to see Curry have like a slump, which he probably won't have a slump, if you were to see him get hurt, I really hope he doesn't get hurt because of what he brings in entertainment weekly and nightly. But Draymond could easily win an MVP somewhere down the line following this year.
If he can keep putting up the numbers he's putting up and be as effective as he's being, he's definitely in the race. But as we've seen in years past with the reigning MVP, it's their award to lose. And if a guy puts up numbers almost the same as he did the last year, his team finishes close to the same he did the last year, he's going to win it back to back. And we saw that with LeBron for a couple years where it was just his award to lose.
He should have won at 6, but somehow Derrick Rose snuck one in. That was still LeBron James MVP.
Yeah, but
best record in the league was the Chicago Bulls. But
Steve Nash won the MVP 2 years in a row because he had a really good year the one year. The next year, it was a good year, but because he was the MVP and the Suns finished where they finished, you give it to the guy that's already there.
And Kobe only has one, and I will never understand how Kobe only has one.
And it's that guy's award to lose, and which is why we'd be talking about it the same way if Harden had finished MVP last year instead of Curry. Now Harden wouldn't win it because his team is having a terrible year, but because Steph's going above and beyond what he did last year too. Not only is their team only have 2 losses, but Steph is going above and beyond what he did last year.
Yeah, 30 points again last night against the.
It's not only his points; it's his efficiency and what he's doing. He's putting up 30 points like it's 10. It's nothing for him.
I don't like the referencing the video game, but he is literally a 2K in person version. Like that's what he is. He's the 2K Steph Curry is real life Steph Curry.
You watch him. Sometimes it's like when you're watching him, it's like watching what Jimmer did in college. Like he'll bring the ball up the floor and just pull up from like 30 feet, and he hits nothing but net.
Where the hell is Jimmer nowadays?
The Westchester Knicks.
Are you serious?
Yep.
The Knicks signed him to the D-League team?
Yep. I turned it on the other day and I saw him. They were like Jimmer, and I was like, who?
How's he doing down there? Did you see anything? Like, is he scoring at least?
He's scoring a lot, but it's because he doesn't pass the ball.
Nice. So I like to see that Jimmer Fredette, Nothing But Net song is playing in my head right now.
I don't know. The D-League is such a joke, but
I saw
it's worse than watching college basketball.
I saw Orlando Johnson with like a post-riding dunk, and I was like, Orlando Johnson?
There's like, the Knicks have him and like Antetokounmpo's little brother down there.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I know that he was signed to the D-League. Forgot about that.
No.
So,
it's definitely Steph's award to lose. I think you got, if Steph slumps off and the Warriors are still playing well and Draymond's playing good, he's gonna step up. LeBron's always in the hunt. He's always going to be mentioned in the race. I think you got the usual cast of characters. I think you'll see Westbrook and Durant floating in the race somewhere. And if another team decides to step up and have a good run somewhere, I don't think you'll see any of the Spurs in the MVP discussion because they're too well-rounded. I don't think you'll ever see, Kawhi's having a great year, but I don't think you'll ever see him really in the MVP race until Duncan and Parker are long gone.
Not even. I still don't think you'll ever see Kawhi average more than what he's averaging now, like 22 points. I don't think he's ever going to average like 25 because Popovich doesn't want to run that kind of selfish scoring basketball.
you see some of the way that other teams play. If your big star has an off night, the team's the team's not going to run that well.
Watch
So
it on a nightly basis with the Pacers.
It increases the margin for error.
Mm-hmm.
Where if one guy's not having a good night, you got 9 other guys in the team that can come out and contribute. You're not relying on like a Westbrook and Durant. If those guys score 10 points, if they combine for 20 points a night, that team's losing.
100%.
If they combine for less than 45 points, they're losing every single game.
I mean, I think prime example, they lost last night by 12 to the Sacramento Kings, and who wasn't playing? Durant. He didn't dress.
Yeah, his foot is a huge concern. Again, it's hurting him. He got the 2 surgeries on it last year. It's still hurting him. And they say with guys that you worry when a guy's 6'11", 7 feet tall, when he has a foot injury, that may never heal right.
That was Joakim Noah's issue. He got that plantar fasciitis or whatever. Lillard's got that too now, which is an issue.
That's what made Yao Ming retire his feet.
A lot of players have it. Because doesn't DeMauri Carroll, too, from Toronto, suffered from that injury earlier this season. It never goes away. It can flare up whenever, which is why he's so –
Yeah, it's one of those things. Antonio Gates has been playing with the NFL for years. It's one of those things where some days you can manage the pain and other days you can't. You're going to have to learn to live with the pain or you're going to have to retire.
And we're going to talk about for the first time in this podcast, possible trades. We're getting closer and closer now to trade deadline. There's always rumors. There's been rumors around DeMarcus Cousins, Whiteside, now among Dwight Howard. There's been talk. Dwight Howard as well, since a couple weeks ago he came out saying he doesn't want to play for Houston. Do any of these big men get moved? Personally, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see a big name guy get moved. It's going to be small, guys that can bolster your bench and things like that. I don't think you're going to see a big name moved, and simply because right now when you look, the only teams that really are going to make a trade are teams that are in the hunt. And basically at this point in the season, things are, besides maybe Philly and a couple of teams like that are really at the bottom, everybody's still in the hunt for that 8 spot. And it's almost like, does somebody really want to give up a player? Well, I mean,
when there's a possibility to make a run in the second half?
I know the Clippers have won 5 straight now, but I mean, they had a lot of rumors prior to that about trading somebody because they have Lance on the bench who keeps disappointing me and has done nothing. And then you have Josh Smith, who I think they want to dump now, and et cetera.
The Clippers are the one team I think you could see making a move because of they have all those veterans on the bench that aren't working out well. I mean, really, what did you expect? You got Jamal Crawford sitting on the bench. You got Lance Stevenson on the bench. You got Paul Pierce on the bench. I mean, you have all these old veterans that want to play starter minutes and that think they're, starter capable. And you got them on the bench playing, as role players. That's not going to work.
And I mean, Paul Pierce I'm not even really sure how Paul Pierce is playing this season because he's been so quiet. Every time I turn on a Clipper game, I barely see Paul Pierce in the game.
I mean, he might even sneak his way in the starting lineup, but I don't think he's only playing like 18 minutes a game.
Yeah, because they have Wesley Johnson as well.
Yeah, who again, another guy that's he's an okay role player, but I think their problem has always been that small forward position, and frontline help behind Blake and DeAndre. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised though. I mean, they're not going to go out and get a big name, obviously, because they're not going to trade any big talent. But the Bucks, they're struggling. I can see them making a move because. After a team that went from being a playoff, from being a playoff team isn't even going to make the playoffs this year. And I think there's something wrong with that team. But like when you look at the pieces, it doesn't fit. I mean, you got Greg Monroe next to the Greek Freak. You have Michael Carter Williams Jr. Chris Middletown. The team doesn't flow. Like you look at that starting lineup, it looks like somebody just went out and was like, all right, give me the best guy I can get from this position.
It's almost, it reminds you almost a little bit of like what the Sixers have, where it's just like it's all young players that you draft. You got a bunch of young players that you think have potential, so you're gonna put them in, hope they develop, and it's just like, Michael Carter-Williams. Is he an NBA point guard? Probably. Is he a starting NBA point guard? I don't know.
Probably. I don't think so.
Chris Middleton, he's a nice player. Is he the guy you want leading your team in scoring? Probably not.
No.
You got OJ Mayo.
I completely forget. I mean, you can get rid of OJ. I think OJ's time is past.
A serviceable veteran, but is he a guy that you really think you can win a title with? Probably not.
Parker has yet to really take off, still recovering from that knee injury.
He's a nice piece, but again, he's young. And you need to put some pieces in. It's young guys that have never been there and never done that before, and you're relying on a coach that's only 3 years out of the NBA who's never been there and never done that as a coach. And you got a bunch of young players with no veterans in your locker room with an inexperienced coach and expecting them to gel. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So you could see, I don't think they're going to dump Monroe already because, they signed him to a contract. But I think you see a guy like Mayo moved,
Middletown. I can see Middletown moving.
Middleton being moved. Yeah, you could see a guy like that. But, you're going to, because they're, starters on that team, you're going to have to pay a price to get some guys, to get somebody like that. And especially when there's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft, you're going to either have to give up a good draft pick or you're going to have to give up, a prospect you don't want to get rid of that's, sitting on your bench at the moment, or an established role player.
I think there could be a sleeper trade somewhere. I think it's going to be coming from the Bulls. I think the Bulls are going to move somebody to solidify a playoff contention. I think like either Todd Gibson or Noah is going to get moved.
Yeah, I think you're one of those big, especially the way Bobby Portis has come on lately.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see, and especially in Hoiberg's system where, you have to be an offensive player to play with him. It's no longer Thibodeau's team.
Right.
If you're giving me defense and it's just defense, I don't need you anymore.
Which is why Noah might be the one with his door out.
Noah might be the one, but you could, there was, rumors coming out early in the season where Powell said he didn't want to be a Bull after this year. He said he wanted to move. So it could be a guy who's getting older. A team could use a veteran big man like that. But if you're in the 2 seed, you don't want to get rid of that guy. But if
you trade Powell, you're no longer a 2 seed.
Yeah. If there's rumors with him already not wanting to be there after this year, you could see a guy like that get moved to get a forward because you have Noah, you have Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
They're 2 veteran guys that you could move in there. Now, they're not a contender anymore if you get rid of Powell, but, it's a move
I guess. I mean, I'm not sure who you would get in place with Powell, but even still, you lose like 18 points a game if you drop Powell out there. So
you lose 18 points a game. You lose, his basketball IQ. You lose a veteran leader. You lose a lot when you get rid of him. So, I don't see him getting moved in any conceivable manner, but it's just something to throw out there because he said he was unhappy earlier this year and didn't want to be a Bull when the season's over.
But that leads to why I think that Dwight Howard might be on the way out because Howard has said as well that he's not going to re-sign with the team.
He's a guy that for the rest of his career is going to move every year or every other year because he's never going to be complacent where he is because he's always got a problem with somebody. Mm-hmm. And you know what? You're not going to be the focal point of a team anymore. You're not that player. You're not who you were with the Magic. You're not going to be the focal point. You're going to have to be somebody's Robin, or you're going to have to be maybe not even that. You're going to have to be a third, fourth option at this point. You're not going to be the best player on the team.
It's so sad as well to think about that because when he was on Orlando that last season, when he had all the do you want Jeff Van Gundy to get fired? No. And you want to get traded? No. Do you want to get traded? Yeah. The back and forth. He was very productive that year until the herniated disc issue. But he was really effective that year. I mean, there was times where he had that little post. He had a post hook and a post jump shot, the bank shot that. And
he had a little baby hook that he would bank. Yeah,
I was like, Dwight's got a little bit of an offensive game coming. Now in Houston, I don't ever see that. I don't see a post hook. I don't see a fadeaway bank shot.
That's
All I
because
see is
you give him the ball to attempt it.
Well, I mean, that's fair to say, I guess, but he has, even when he gets the ball, you don't see any of that. You see him put the ball on the floor and try and dunk.
I mean, you see when he gets the ball in the post and he has his back to the basket, people just put their hands up and they're like, okay, do what you're going to do. We know you're going to miss. Yeah. Like we're not going to foul you. When you face up and you attack the rim, then we'll hack you because we don't want you to get a layup. But, with his back to basket, he's just, and he's another guy that's he's going to have to fit in a system. The only place I could see him maybe fitting in, well, is if you slide him into the Clippers with DeAndre Jordan because he's the same exact player.
You know where I think he'd be really good, actually?
But with his ego, he wouldn't fit with Doc Rivers or Chris Paul or anybody like that. But, that's the only system I can see him, being, able to contribute.
Do you know where he could be a good player, a solid player? 2 teams, actually. Actually, 3 teams. He could be really nice on the Pelicans. Alongside Anthony Davis, it allows Davis to play the 4. And then, to be honest, not now, Bledsoe's out for the season, but on the Suns, he'd be a nicer piece than Tyson Chandler on the Suns.
Well, then I think because it's Dwight, I think you could even in that system give him a little more leeway, like they did with Amari. You can get the ball, you can go do some work because really we want you to run up and down the floor and set screens and dunk and block shots and rebound.
Yeah,
that Phoenix would allow him to do things that he's comfortable doing and that he can do.
Exactly, which is why I think Phoenix would be a better choice in the Western Conference, at least compared to the Rockets. Because I think the Rockets they might overhaul before the season's over. I really think they might.
The East, the West is a much more up-tempo style that Dwight, I think, fits into better than, the East. The East to me is much more of a half-court, run a system than
the West.
The West is like run and gun.
The West is showtime. The East is grit and grind.
Yeah,
it's been that way for years.
But Dwight. Is Dwight – it's for him, it's going to come down to this. Do you want to win? Then you're going to have to suck up your ego and go to a team and be, a starting center who rebounds, block shots, and who dunks, and that's it. Don't make any noise. Shut your mouth and, play. Or you're going to go to a young team that's got no shot at the playoffs, that they're going to expect you to be the focal point, and you're going to win 20 games a year, and you're going to make your money. And nobody's going to give you shit because you're the star of the show.
And there'll be all the constant rumors of Dwight needs to get on a better team again.
And he'll be like, yeah, I want to get traded to a better team. And he'll go and he'll destroy the team and he'll cause problems. And it's going to be right. It's going to be the same discussion, you had with the Lakers and everything. It's at this point in his career, you're not giving enough production for the trouble that you're causing us.
Pretty much.
Too big of a headache for a player that's not producing enough. And, everybody still wants him to be the old Dwight Howard, and you're just not seeing it.
Yeah, he needed to stop skipping leg day is what he needed to do. You need to start going to the gym on leg day, Dwight. Build up them legs. Your upper body's too big.
Stop worrying about his haircut and start worrying about his game.
So you keep getting day and knee injuries. Stop only doing upper body. Scrub. And that'll wrap up this podcast.
He needs to go work with like Olajuwon or something and try to find an offensive game because he's only getting older, so that explosiveness is going away.
Don't get me started on people working with Hall of Famers or past Hall of Famers. Roy Hibbert works with Kareem every offseason. I have seen no change in his offensive game. It ain't getting
Roy Hibbert's doofy and uncoordinated, so nothing you teach him is going to work.
I don't want to hear it. Nothing helped Roy. Nothing going to help Dwight. They are who they are. And that wraps up this edition of the Mambas Nest. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this on YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, we will be here again next week to discuss more NBA talk. Hopefully we'll have Leroy Eve with us or Jose Diaz will return to the podcast. Until next time, thank you guys. Happy New Year's. Hope you're enjoying your winter break. Burger, always a pleasure.